The Battle of Clendathu. A day that will live in infamy. But from tragedy springs hope, as the Federation rebuilds its fleet bigger and stronger than before. To fuel this war machine, all eyes are now on Kwalasha.
Hi everyone, Bandana here. I hope you're all doing well. Today we're taking a look at Starship Troopers Terran Command. I'm a bit late to the party on this one, but I want to thank Slitherine for the key for both the base game and the new DLC. But with the new DLC, I will cover that in its own video, so today I'm going to focus on the original Terran Command. So I'm sure most of you will have seen the amazingly cheesy at times Starship Troopers movie. It's a classic and a good one at that. Can't say much for the straight-to-DVD follow-ups, but certainly the first was a gem of an action movie. Now, I know there are fans of the books who don't love the movie because I understand it's quite different, but I've not read it myself, so I will note that the game is certainly based off the movie rather than the books, and obviously the movie is just more internationally popular. And the game does a really good job of being faithful to the movies, and I really have to commend the development team not only for managing to hit the grim dark sci-fi nail squarely on the head when it comes to the visuals, but also the music and the at times very brutal story. The game includes an 18-mission single-player campaign which can be played on a wide variety of difficulty levels, and has a range of mission types. It also includes a map or scenario editor now, with the Steam Workshop support also available, so there's plenty of extra missions that the community have made to give a go. There are also a selection of challenge maps and a few experimental missions that they've made along the way, some of them involving chemical weapons or pesticides as the case may be. The game's actually also won an award at the TIGA Games Industry Awards for Best Strategy Game of 2023, and honestly it is pretty well deserved. Now, I've joined this party a little late, and the game has undergone various changes over the time since release, so everything I say is obviously based on the game as it is right now in December 2023. And I will also note at this stage that the game is single player only and does not have any multiplayer component. Let's jump straight in and talk about the story side of things first. It's very engaging, if not a stereotypical type of story you might expect from this franchise. However, what really sets it apart from some of the other RTS games on the market is the voice acting of the characters. They are amazingly well voiced, and also the scripting is superb, giving that really grim military sci-fi feel that you would expect from the movie. And I particularly enjoy when the psychic officer joins the ranks and immediately comes across as a very slimy, dodgy character. I don't want to say too much about the story because I don't want to spoil it, so I'll leave it there. What I will commend the team on are the in-between mission cutscenes, which are sort of cartoony propaganda adverts, very reminiscent of the ones in the movie, and they're a mix of grim and quite humorous, and again, very well scripted and voiced. Over on the side of gameplay, it's a standard squad-based RTS game on the face of it, with some clever use of terrain height to make combat a little more interesting. Units with direct fire, for example, block each other, but you can negate this by having one unit stood on higher ground than the other, so they are shooting over the top. It also gives a reason to position your troops and not just charge them around in one massive blob. I say that knowing full well that at times I did charge them around as one massive blob, but even then when doing this you tend to have to reposition them once they reach their target. Also, later in the campaign, various bugs appear, such as the Royal Guards, that will rip even the best squads to bits, so at that point you really have to keep altering your playstyle and moving units around so you can deal with them in the best way possible without losing too many units. There's also a range of special abilities for the units which I actually found very useful and used them on a regular basis. Grenades of various types in particular, the AoE rocket blast, and also the ability to call in an airstrike, to name but a few. And in some combat situations you really do need to use them. And now all of these abilities etc. are on hotkeys, but you can in fairness navigate the UI easily enough without the hotkeys to make it very accessible for those who don't want to learn the hotkeys in detail. The units also rank up over time, so there's a reason for you to try and keep them alive, especially when they hit rank 3 and get an additional special ability. Those abilities are a bit more mixed, and I find myself often picking the same ones unless there was an achievement to use the other. There's also a good variety of both playable units and enemy bugs in the game, including some big stompy robot suits you get towards the end of the campaign, and indeed some equally nasty enemy bugs that you find. I also appreciate the fact that you have a list of all your units with their health etc. on a bar at the bottom of the screen, so that when you need to, you can just jump quickly from unit to unit. I didn't always use that, but it was nice to know it was there when I needed to. Now, I will say there is an element of rock, paper, scissors to the unit interactions, but with the use of special abilities, even the basic rifleman can damage the heavier tank-style enemy units. I think that's a really nice addition, because it means that even in those situations, your initial units aren't useless. Every unit in the game has a use, even right through to the end of the game when you're battling the top-end enemy bugs. Campaign missions vary from ones with having to manage just a few units to ones where you have to capture multiple bases and expand your force, and there's some defense missions thrown in there too. I really enjoy this variety, and I also really appreciate the various locations, including underground tunnels and things, that changed up how you had to handle your units and position them for combat. There were also a few missions where you had to do a fighting retreat across a map with limited units. These were quite fun, where you had waves of enemies coming from behind while having to fight your way forward. I got very few technical bugs in the game, by the way, although the pathing was sometimes a bit of an issue, with units getting stuck on corners or on other objects and jittering on the spot occasionally, but it was fairly rare, and I don't recall encountering any other major bugs in my playthrough. Overall, the gameplay is really solid, the missions were well laid out and set up. I definitely have no complaints there. When it comes to the sound, the game has very fitting music, and it certainly has some of the same beats and riffs as the movie music. I will grant you, without it being exactly the same track as the very famous Klendathu drop theme. The voiceovers, as noted, are absolutely fantastic, and the sounds of the bugs etc. are very cool too as they're running around the map. Graphically, the game is solid, and the aesthetic is suitably gritty for Starship Troopers. The animations for the bugs are really well done for the most part, especially when they start doing things like climbing up the walls. There were a couple of graphical issues or animation issues, such as the Marauder that you get towards the end of the game, pointing in one direction with its gun but firing in another direction, like as if it was looking down at the floor but firing straight ahead. That was a little bit weird, but certainly not ruining the game in any way. Starship Troopers Terran Command is a fantastic game that really feels like the world of the original movie. The voice actors must be commended for really helping set the scene, not to mention the brutality of the story and the various missions. It's as faithful as I feel a game could manage to be without just repeating the same story from the movie. And who wouldn't want to enjoy slaughtering the bug menace in their thousands and tens of thousands? The campaign was fun to play through, and there are a few other missions on offer, as well as access to the many player-made scenarios on the Steam Workshop. I think it's a big selling point for the game that they've included this editor, though I acknowledge it came after the initial release. The other thing I like about Terran Command is it's very reasonably priced. At $24.99 for the content that's included, I think it's very fair, and I certainly feel like I've got my money's worth out of it when you include all of the missions that I can potentially play on the workshop as well. Overall, I would definitely give this game a 4.5 out of 5. There's a reason it won an award after all. It's a really good game. For those who love a classic RTS and enjoy the movie, I think it's well worth a go. As ever, please do let me know down in the comments what you guys thought of the game. Thank you very much for watching as ever. Please do like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you all soon for some more reviews.